Hello, fellow design nerds. I decided to go ahead and make another video, get that out there tonight so you guys can get a chance to look at it. I just wanted to do the 6 tools to learn first, in my opinion. So it's kind of the top 6 basic tools that you need to know, that you can get comfortable with, and you can actually make stuff with just knowing these tools. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. If your screen does not look like this, go ahead and open up a new document. I just did 8.5 by 11. Nothing matters about it, so you can pick whatever you want. And then if your setup doesn't look like this, you can go to Essentials Classic and then Reset Essentials, and it will look like this. And then I close these. So first, I want to show you the shape tool. So over here, the different shape tools we have. So this is a group. So again, they're grouped into this one button, but you can choose from in here. And when you choose something else, the top will change. So you can choose the rectangle tool. And so there's a couple different ways to do this. If you click and drag, you can draw any shape square you want to. Okay, so I've got that. That was a click and drag. If I click once, a box will come up and I can specify exactly how big I want it to be. So I want it, and there's my 100 by 100 point box. When you're clicking and dragging, there's a couple things you can do. Sometimes you have to go back and choose it because you'll have switched to the arrow. You can click and drag, and if you hold Shift while you click and drag, you'll get a perfect square. So that's Shift. If you hold Option, which I think is Alt on a Windows PC, correct me if I'm wrong, then it will draw from the circle instead of that corner. If you hold Shift and Command at the same time, it will constrain to a square and also draw from the circle. You have to keep holding the buttons, holding the keyboard buttons before you let go, and that will hold that constraint. You can hit delete if you want to delete anything. So within this, there's lots of different options, and I highly recommend you start trying to use and memorize keyboard shortcuts because they really, really cut down on your work time. It's something that takes time, and eventually you won't even realize it, but your hands are flying across the keyboard with shortcuts. So here's the circle tool. So same thing, if I click, I can type that in and get the exact circle I want, or I can click and drag. I can make it an ellipse, click and drag any size I want. If I hit Shift while I'm dragging, it'll be a perfect circle. Option makes it draw from the center. Shift and Option make it draw from the center in a perfect circle. So there's rounded rectangle tool, which is the same thing, but it has round corners. Polygon tool. So this one's fun. All the other same things work. Shift, Shift and Option. It draws from the center anyway, so Option isn't so much a thing. But one thing you can do shortcut-wise, if you're clicking and drawing with a polygon, is if you press the up or down arrow, it will change the number of sides. So that's a quick way, and you can start from the triangle and go all the way up to, you know, a whatever that would be. If you hit Shift with a triangle, it's going to hold it like that for you. So same thing with the star tool. If you up and down, it changes the number of points. So then, of course, with these two tools, the polygon and the star tool, you can hit and you can pick if you have an exact number of points or radius that you need, you can pick those. Okay. So beyond this, the shape tool, oh, one quick thing about these, just so you notice, these are just black shapes because this is filled with black and there is no stroke. So that's why these look like they do. That would be just a black stroke. Okay. So the other thing, the selection tool is kind of the default arrow. You can pick up things, you can move things, do any of the free transform things, and of course shift will hold it perfect. Again, option will go from the center. That works with the selection tool as well. So that shortcut is V, and that's definitely one to remember because you'll be switching back to your selection tool a lot. The other selection tool we have is the direct selection tool, and it works a little bit differently. The selection tool just picks up the whole thing, or on those pieces that you're focusing on. The direct selection tool works more with points. So I'm going to zoom in there so we can see that one. So the direct selection tool, I can just click that one point and then I can manipulate it all by itself. Or I can select 2 points, maybe, select, and then shift select will give me the second point, and I can manipulate those 2 points. The other thing with direct selection, if you've got 2 lines that come to a point like this, generally, sometimes the angle might be wrong, but generally it gives you this dot here, which then you can go ahead and round off any of those corners. And just like the other, I know this shape is absolutely beautiful. You can grab 3 of those by shift clicking on each one, and you can change those at the same time, at the same amount. I'm going to undo that. Beautiful, beautiful shape. So with the direct selection tool, you can also grab a side. So I can just grab that one line, that side. So that's when you want to get in and fiddle with things and change things. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to show you, next tool, I'm just going to leave, well, let's get rid of all of them. Our type tool. So it says T over here, and its shortcut is T. So a nice easy one to remember for the most part. So there are 2 different ways you can do text with this tool. This is the basic one. There's other text tools. We'll go over those another time if you guys want to. So if you just click on your board, you're going to get what's called point type. So it's just a text box with just this word in it. And it will automatically populate lorem ipsum now, which is nice in some ways. It's kind of a newer feature so that you don't have just nothing there. So if you go into that type box and highlight it, ooh, there we go. You can type whatever in there. So the way this one works is it's more like a headline. So you can actually size this one. So if you don't hold shift, you're going to skew it and squish it, and that's generally a no-no. So always hold shift when you're resizing text. It won't squish it or stretch it, which is a bad thing. This one will not make paragraphs. It will just go on and on and on and on until you tell it to return. So that's where the other one comes in. So I'm going to escape out of that. If you hit escape or V, you'll get back to your direct selection tool. So then either click here or type T. If you click and drag, you're making a text box. So that's when you've filled it with paragraph that will conform to that box or whatever you've drawn. You can actually make circles, you can change the size of the text box, the shape, if you want to, and that would be with the direct selection tool. So I could go like this and go, I want this to be some weird shape, but it's going to fill up that box. One thing down here, when you have a text box that's got text in it, if you see this, it means that you have text that isn't being seen. You have overflow text. And so that needs to be fixed. So you need to either, make this bigger or figure out a way. See, now I have all my text in here and the plus is gone. So up here is where you would change, pick your font, pick if it's centered, left aligned, size. This is where you can make text changes up top. And that's another thing, if we need to, we can get into if you want to. Okay, after the text box, type tool, real quick, zoom tool. So way down here at the bottom is a zoom tool. It's Z. It's very easy. I believe on newer, faster computers, mine is old and slow. On newer, faster ones with a better GPU, I believe you can scrubby zoom. So if you click and you pull down like that, it will zoom in automatically. Mine will draw a box and then zoom in. And if you click and do it that way, you should zoom out. That won't work on mine. So you can use it that way. And once if you're all the way zoomed in and you don't know how to get out of that, Command 0 is a zoom shortcut that makes it fit. So it's zoom to fit right here, Command 0. So there's the in and out, the zoom in, zoom out with the button. Also, if you click, it will zoom in at certain, it'll click, zoom in on your pointer, but it'll zoom in at a certain percentage each click. So the Command 0 puts it back into fitting your screen. The other shortcut to remember is Command 0, Command minus sign right next to the 0 will zoom out, and Command, it's the plus or equals next to that, will zoom in. I use these all the time. And then Command 0 when I'm zoomed in here, looking at something, Command 0, and I can see right away the whole thing. The other tool I want to show you real quick is the hand tool. So that's right above the zoom. It is H. So that's what moves you around on the canvas, on the artboard. So if you're all zoomed in, and you're like, oh, I need to work on that right there, you can click and drag and pull it over. So that's the H. But what a shortcut that is really helpful that I don't think I ever push the H or click on the hand is if you pretty much are in any tool. Some of them it wouldn't work, like if you're typing, but if you're on the selection tool and you press the space bar, you will get the hand, but as soon as you let go of the space bar, it goes back to your tool. So you just, space bar, move it around, let go, do what you need to do. So that's really handy, and I use it all the time. So one more thing I wanted to show you, this is actually a 7th tool. but I just want to introduce it, and then we'll go over it some more after that. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. And so it's the pen tool. So the pen tool is really an important tool. It's a helpful tool. It can be confusing and frustrating at first. So let's just go over the basic, how it works. And then I'll actually give you some links that are fun games to practice with. And then I'll probably do a video, an in-depth video of all the pen tools capabilities and how to use kind of the shortcuts that go along with using the pen tool efficiently. So basically the pen tool makes points and then it draws a line between those points. And it depends on how your fill is. So right now I've got a fill instead of a line, so I can make a box and it's filled with black because that's my fill and my stroke is empty. So if I had this on just stroke, and P is the shortcut, so I use P a lot. So go back to your pen tool, and then if you do an outline, you don't have to close them. You can make whatever you want. But if you come to that first point and you hover over it, you'll see that circle, and that means you're going to close it into a shape. Like it closed the whole path. So I'm going to delete that. So that is if you just click. Now if you go ahead and click once, and then your next one, if you click and drag, you get handles and it starts to curve. So these are called Bezier curves, and they're actually a whole bunch of math that the computer does for us. Yay, computer. So I made that curve, and then see how it's trying to make the next one. It already is kind of predicting. So I can pull this over here, and then I can give it more of a curve and pull those handles out. So that's where it gets confusing. You'll start to learn, you'll get a feel for, okay, if I'm doing it this way, that next one is going to curve around, and how that works. So just one other thing real quick. So this is where like the direct selection tool comes in, because then you can grab those. You can also grab the handles and then kind of fix those and really get in there and make it exactly what you want or need. So that's all I'm going to go over with the pen tool. Like I said, I will link, there's two really good games. There's a game called the Bezier game, and I'll link that one. And there's also a little game from Adobe called the Pen Tool Game. It's got a little alien and it's super cute, and it gives you a lot of practice. And you get to take this little alien through a tunnel and try not to kill him with the pen tool. So and those it gives you a lot of practice with doing straight and doing curves. And the Bezier game has a lot of tracing. I haven't done that one in a while. Like you trace shapes, and I think you get a score for it too. So I will post those in the below the video. I will also post them in the Facebook group. I hope that was helpful. Again, if you have any questions, please post them in the comments on either YouTube or on the Facebook group, and I will try and answer as best I can. All right. Thanks, guys.